Hey guys, welcome to this new video. Today I have with me to discuss about stock markets in Vietnam. So you may have seen a couple of videos previously talking about the opportunity and the challenges for foreigners to invest in the stock market, and today I have who is a broker. She has around 5 years of experience working from a brokerage firm in Vietnam, and we're gonna dig into that subject. Thanks to be here today to discuss about that hot topic of investment in Vietnam. Can you start by introducing yourself?
Hello Guillaume and hello everyone. My name is Ni. I'm a certified broker and business manager at Gianta Security. I have more than 5 years of experience in stock trading and investment. At the moment, I'm having a lot of customers from different backgrounds and nationality to invest in Vietnam.
So actually over the last months, the Vietnamese stock market keep breaking new high. Can you tell us about that outstanding performance?
Yeah, the Vietnam stock markets have remarkable growth in 2021 compared to other markets in the region, and even development markets like United States. Particularly, the Vietnam index grew 36% in 2021. This rate is 16% higher than Dow index of US the same period at around 20%. And the Vietnam stock market capitalization as a percent of GDP was 123% in 2021, increasing 46% compared to 2020. This implies that the market size expanded rapidly the same in just 1 year. In 2021, 75 of listed stocks in the VN Index growth rate higher than the average at 36%. This implies that investors would have 75% to trend to have over 30% return on investment just from buying and holding stock. In addition, there were many stocks reporting growth of 100 to 200 in just 6 months. Given that investing in their spiking stock will expose investors to higher risk level.
So interesting all those numbers about the previous performance about the Vietnam stock market. What about the upcoming months? And do you see there is still some room for the stock market to increase and to get like significant returns?
Of course, establishing in the early 2000s, the Vietnam stock market relatively image compared to 100 years old in Europe or the US. Therefore, the market potential to grow is significant. Despite strong growth in 2021, the Vietnam stock market capitalization as percentage of GDP is still lower than major markets in the region and the world, such as Singapore with 100 to 192%, Malaysia 129%, US with 194%. In addition, the Vietnam brokerage penetration rate is still low at around 4%, while that of Taiwan or US is about 90%. The increase in penetration rate will improve the maturity of the market. One of the key drivers for the future growth is upgrade in the stock market ranking. The Vietnamese stock market is being considered a frontier market, and it targets to become emerging market in 2025. In general, frontier market is a less advanced capital market in the developing world, with huge demand of investing and growth potential, but lacking economic resource for development. This type of market typically attract a lot of overseas capital from foreign funds seeking high long-run return potential. The current Vietnam market price earning ratio around 17 to 18. This figure is lower than the average price to earning ratio of emerging markets in the region at around 20 to 25. For example, Thailand to 24, the Philippines is 25, and India is 27.
So very interesting me about the PE ratio that you mentioned. So it means that if Vietnam has a lower PE ratio compared to other countries in the region, obviously there will be opportunities, and potentially this Vietnamese market can be suitable for value investors, so people who want to buy the market cheap and to expect the market to go bigger. What about basically things that foreigner needs to know and need to be aware of before investing into the Vietnamese stock market?
Firstly, the investor should evaluate the annualized return on investment of the market. For example, the growth of VN Index at 30 to 36% in 2021 can be viewed as a general return on investment of the common stock market. Besides stock market, ETF is also a good investment option in Vietnam. In addition, information surrounding ETF are largely transparent because ETF will publish its information annual return on investment on public channels such as the VFVN 30. Its rate of return at 44% in 2021 can be found their website.
Okay, interesting me. So it's good for investors to know the potential and to evaluate the potential of growth of the market. And so going into listed ETF is also one channel that foreign investor can consider. What about the market influencers that are commonly in Vietnam?
Okay. In Vietnam, there are four types of influencer. The first type of influencer is individual investor. The Vietnam market is crowded with individual investor. In 2021, there were over 1.5 million new accounts opened at security company, which is equal to 4 years total account opened in 2017 to 2020. This stunning figure shows the attractiveness of the stock market individual investor. However, most of those investors are not equipped with sufficient investment knowledge. This makes bandwagon effects very popular in the market. The second influencer in the Vietnamese stock market is security company. Besides provide brokerage and financial service, this company also buy and sell security like a trader to make a gain from the price difference. As these companies are well funded, they often will significantly impact a stock price. The third influencer is often a closed funds that gather money from organizations and individual, and it will work with fund management company to invest in the stock market. As the investment from defense is general cycle, the stock price will be impacted when they update and adjust their portfolios. The last type influencer in the market maker. They focus on boosting stock liquidity and making gain from the significant price gap between their initial buying and final selling. The market maker can be eligible organization or individual and have enough resource to forecast liquidity. They can make a stock become a rising star, but they are sometimes considered a price manipulator.
Okay, interesting means so we have 4 big players that are influencing the Vietnamese market. We got the individual investors, the funds, the security companies, and finally the market makers that are providing liquidity to the market. Now, one final question that investors may have is how they can get into and invest in the Vietnamese stock market.
In my opinion, there are 3 different styles of investing in stock market. The first one is value investing. This style refers to those only care about to stock increasing value. They think about buying a stock and buying stock for a percentage of ownership in a company. They want to own company that have sound principle and financial regardless of what everyone else is saying or doing. The second style is short-term trading. Those trading methods focus on the rapid movement on the market in the time duration between entry and exit is from few days to few weeks. The third style is long-term trading, referring to trading method in which the trader will hold a position for a long time. The holding time of a position can last month, can a few weeks, a few months, or a few years.
Okay, so there is basically 3 approaches that foreign investors can consider. Either they are doing short-term trading, right? They're going to try to surf the volatility of the market. Either they are value investors, so they will more rate a company and then buy companies that are maybe under the market and try to expect that company to gain more value. And finally, you have the long-term investor that will be here for a couple of months to a couple of years. Can you tell me a little bit more advice and then insight for the foreign investor who may be interested into jumping into the Vietnamese market?
My advice would be first, set the right expectation. I would be best to have a suitable expectation with the current market condition. You should set a range of expected rate or returns based on movement rather than a fixed return on investment at the beginning. This is because the market is unpredictable and fixing the right might hinder your profits. Secondly, a stop loss rate should be also be set out before joining the market. It can be a hard stop, example 10% for every stop, flexible rate based on the expected return, example 50% if expect to return is 20 to 30% in a year. Finally, it's very important to find the right broker. In frontier market, like Vietnam, broker playing a significant role in helping investor necessary information and make sound investment decisions. If you don't have time checking the market, working with a broker can help you save the time and skill your investment. An experienced broker will provide tailored advice and interest you on critical investment decisions.
Okay, Mi, so this is very important for foreign investors to know that first they need to set up and have a proper expectation about the market return. Then they need to set up also a stop loss in case the markets have some drawdown, it's obvious. And finally, I think this is the most important factors is to rely on the right partner. A broker can really help you through your journey about investing in the stock market. Last but not least, how foreigners can open an account into a brokerage firm in Vietnam?
It's very simple. To open an account in a security company, the investor will only need a passport verified by Vietnam Embassy, public authority in Vietnam, and the security company will take care about relay works.
Wow, okay, so even foreigners who are located overseas can directly contact their Vietnamese embassy from their countries and just send all the paperwork to directly a local brokerage account, and they will handle everything. So it's a very good news for foreign investors who are located overseas. Thank you, Mi, for your time today to share your insights about the Vietnamese stock market. I'm sure it's going to help a lot of foreigners who want to also jump into that market with the challenges, but as well all the opportunities behind. If you have any question, feel free to leave a comment below in the comment section, and then I will leave as well few links, free resources below in the description. So if you want to learn more about investing in the stock markets in Vietnam, let's go check this out. Thanks, Mi, again for your time.
Thank you, Graham, and bye bye everyone.
Bye, guys.
Been down and I'ma get it right. Dead on sight like